It's Market Monday, 6 p.m., so it is time to start. We'll give a couple of minutes for everybody to come into the class, starting here right at 6 p.m. Today, when the seasons change. When the seasons change. Seasons of what? Seasons of the stock market. Very simple concept to get our hands around from the get-go, because the market changes seasons just like the weather. Right, I'm headed out to Florida this weekend to do an event for Tradeway, meet some new folks there, get them on the trading journey. And I'm getting messages saying, Blair, do you want to fly out a little early? Looks like the Southeast is going to get some serious cold. Now, hopefully nothing like what we had last year, but clearly seasons. Sometimes in the seasons, there's even more extreme conditions. The market is the same way. Today, we're not only going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about how understanding those seasons benefits you as a trader, as an investor. Because you know what? I'll say this quickly to start. Most people don't really understand the seasons that the market moves through. And when we don't understand something with our money, the most common manifestation, most common reaction when we don't understand something with our money is anxiety. So if you can come into a greater level of understanding, you can lower anxiety, think clearer, and get some strategies so that you're not only in protection, but you're getting into promotion. And that's what we want. Lower anxiety in your finances, in your money, by understanding the seasons of the market. That is what we're going to talk about today. As always, we've got friends joining us on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are. If you're joining us live tonight, you have the opportunity to reach out as we're going through the broadcast and ask me questions. I've said it many times here before. Where else do you get to go? Unless you're already in a Tradeway program, where else do you get to go and ask whatever question that you want to ask about the stock market live? YouTube, Facebook, doesn't matter where you are. Pop it in the comment box, and we will get that taken care of, right? We get to answer those, and chances are somebody else has got that question as well. So please go ahead, throw that in there. If you're with me tonight, you can always say hi. Just let me know who you are, where you're from. Be happy to hear from you, okay? So that said, a little bit of housekeeping. We're looking at when the seasons change, so do your trading tools. So we've really got to establish two things tonight, and I want you to hear this right off the bat. What are the seasons and what are the tools? Now, I'm not going to give you just what. I want to give you the what, but I'm also going to give you the why, and I gave you a little bit of that in the intro here. Why learn what the seasons are? Why learn what these trading tools are? Now, no doubt, most of us are saying because I want to make money in the stock market. And that's true. That is the core of what we're doing here. But it's also make money, the potential to make consistent money, the potential to be better at that, and the potential to protect what you have, right? So it's a little bit multifaceted there. All of those are towards the same end, but I want to help you understand this tonight, not just so that you can have a head full of knowledge, but so that you can have more peace, better stewardship, and that ultimately we can set you up for the potential of greater increase. All right? So that's our goal tonight. And that is why we're looking at seasons change. We got to know that. And when they change, there are different trading tools. Now, here's what I would ask here right off the bat. We talked about options recently here on Market Monday. Remember, you can always go back on YouTube and you can watch previous episodes. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen our options preview that we did, you may not even know what an option is, okay? Especially if you don't even know what it is, go back and watch that broadcast, okay? Go back and watch that broadcast, because it's going to show you what is an option and why and how could that benefit you. And that's kind of a foundation for understanding market seasons and different tools here at Tradeway. But what I want to ask is, how many different ways can a person make money in the stock market? Right? How many different ways can a person make money in the stock market? Because for many of us, the understanding that we have is that you buy a stock. You may not even totally know what a stock is, but you buy a stock, and if it goes up, hopefully you can sell it at a higher price. And if you could do that, you could stand to make money in the market. Well, here's my question for you. If that's the only thing that you can do in the market, then what do I do when the market falls? What do I do when we have the kind of volatility we've had the last week and a half, where the market is tanking, swinging huge swings every day? What do I do? Right? What if we're in a bear market and the market is consistently moving down? What if COVID conditions happened again? Right? What if 2008 happens again? What if a very, and I'm going to say this intently, very normal, right, economic condition comes around, aka recession? You say recessions aren't normal. Well, recessions aren't pleasant in many respects, but they've always happened eventually. So if all I can do is buy stock, well, then there's a lot of room for anxiety in my trading because I need the market to go up. The only way I can succeed is if the market goes up. If I'm stock trading, that's the only thing I can do. And if the market's falling consistently and continually, I'm going to have tremendous anxiety, or at best, I'm going to have to disengage from the market and I won't have any activity during that time. Now, if you learned a skill set that helped you understand the season, right? And you said, you know what, I'm a stock trader. I'm going to take my activity elsewhere. I'm not going to be in the stock market during this time because I am a stock trader and I can't make money when the market is going down all the time, right? But here's the good news, you guys. I just described different seasons with only one tool. What if you knew there were 4 seasons, and there are 4 seasons in the market, just like the weather, but you didn't just have one tool? Instead, what if you had 4 and even more tools than that? How could this be? You buy a stock and you sell the stock when it's higher, right? This is why I mentioned the options preview, because with options, we can do some things that change the game. They give us tools. They give us options, right? They give us options where you and I can stand to do some things when the season changes that we cannot do when we are only trading stock. The thing is that options can be unfamiliar. People think maybe they're too confusing, maybe too risky, right? And we come every weekend to folks and we help debunk all of those things because we show you how to do it safely, and what market seasons you should use certain tools in. And that is what we're going to go over tonight. That's what we're going to go over tonight. So here's what I would continue with, okay? This is what stock traders, okay, with skill sets, stock traders with skill sets, not just somebody who has a brokerage account open, okay, but stock traders with skill sets. That's what we do here at Tradeway. We teach skill sets. Are you afraid of losing money in the market or washing out of the market? Get a skill set, okay? Doesn't guarantee that you'll win every trade, but this is how people do this. They've got to learn the skill set. It's never guessing, gambling, or going for it. So if you open a brokerage account and you want to guess, gamble, or go for it, that's totally different than trading, right? That's not trading. Trading is not a casino. Trading is a skill set, okay? Stock traders with skill sets never have to be afraid of these 3 things I'm going to tell you right now. You never have to be afraid of these 3 things if you're a stock trader with skill sets. Less fear sound like a good thing for folks? Pretty sure that's going to be a strong yes. And the more you learn about trading, the more you know that less fear is extremely helpful. Extremely helpful, okay? You never have to be afraid of volatility in the markets. The last couple of weeks, some of you guys, you've been watching the market. It's been crashing, right? Big swings. The NASDAQ, which primarily follows tech stocks, it was down 18% at one point. That's almost an official bear market in the NASDAQ, okay? That's recessionary conditions in the tech stocks. Now, the S&P 500 is the main index across the sectors of our economy that tracks about 504 stocks, so that we can just look at it as a snapshot, right? We can see what's going on overall by looking at one stock chart. That one wasn't down 18%, but it was down quite a bit, all right? I think we hit 12% or so at one point. It's pretty far, right? We're in correction territory at that point. We never have to be afraid of volatility in the markets. What is volatility, right? It's the liability for rapid change, right? The likelihood of rapid change, usually rapidly, usually unpredictable, right? And especially in the direction we don't want it to go, down. That tends to be volatility. Most people are nervous if they think about the stock market. Some people don't even think about the stock market at all, even if they have money in it, because they're trusting someone else is doing the right thing. And they may or may not be doing that. Nobody cares about your money more than you. So it stands to reason that you should have some training to know what's going on in the stock market. And if you are thinking about the stock market, it's very easy to become anxious about volatility. Stock traders with skill sets don't have to be anxious about volatility. Okay. What else do they not have to be anxious about? I've said them already: bear markets and recessions. Stock traders that have skill sets and tools do not need to be afraid of bear markets and recessions. They understand two major things. Number one, bear markets and recessions are just, what's the phrase I'm looking for here? Facts of life when it comes to economics, right? They happen. They've happened before, and eventually they will happen again. They will happen again. Bear markets and recessions don't have to be big, bad, scary things. In fact, for you and I, they can become opportunities. And that's true. They really can. The third thing is that, as I mentioned already, the need for you and I to sit on the sidelines in our investing or in our trading when it comes to a bear market, particularly in our trading, is not something we have to worry about. Because if we have different skill sets to fit the season, then we don't have to sit on the sidelines. Again, if I only have one tool, right? If I only have one tool, it really only locks in two things for me. Number one, I'm going to keep using that tool in the wrong season, and the likelihood that I'm going to lose money or give back everything I made in the last season gets higher and higher, right? If the market's crashing and all I'm doing is buying stocks in downtrends, right? Higher likelihood that I'm going to lose money or give money back to the market. I don't want to do that. The other thing I've mentioned several times is that I may just sit on the sidelines. Not knowing something can cost me something. That's certainly true in trading. It's true in life. Not knowing something can cost me something. It can cost me what I have, and it can cost me the opportunity for the potential of what I could have, right? That is three basic things that you and I do not need to be afraid of. And this thing that separates one from the other in terms of whether or not you're afraid of that is typically, not always, but typically, whether or not you have a skill set and you see that the market moves in seasons. Because here's a fact, okay? The market doesn't move at the same speed all the time. It's not always as weak. It's not always as strong. I wish it was just two speeds and it was one or the other and we could just look at it in the morning and know that's it. But there's some middle ground. There's some middle ground. It's not always at one speed and it's not always one season, right? It's not always in the same place. Fortunately, you and I can see what are the 4 seasons and learn to recognize them. Okay? That's the strength that we have. So there are 4, just like the weather, right? We've got the 4 seasons, okay? And I'm going to pull up a chart here so that we can look at some of this. Now, I'm going to go out to a further time frame. Let's go to a daily chart here, because this gives us a broader look at this. Now, we're going to include COVID in this, okay? Because COVID's going to be our bear market here. We have 4 seasons. I'm going to just say them and I'll go over. Accumulation, advancing, distribution, decline. Okay? Let me put those into different terms for us, because for a lot of us, that's the first time we heard accumulation, advancing, distribution, decline. We've got our bull market and we've got our bear market, right? It's just 2 sides to the coin. I'm sorry, guys. I got to put this screen up here. And I'll go to this guy. There we go. Bear markets, bull markets, right? It's 2 options. Well, didn't you say 4 seasons, Blair? I did. What tends to happen is we've got trends that are moving up strongly. Strong bull market, new strong bull market. David Mitchell, our founder and CEO, calls this typically, even though it doesn't have to strictly be the first year exactly, close to the first year of a brand new bull market. It is hopeful. It is expansion. The economy's coming alive. It's explosive. Some of the new hot growth stocks are taking the lead, and the chart is moving from one corner of the screen up to the other corner, right? It's a great time to be in trading because things are advancing so aggressively. We've seen a lot of this, right? We saw it in here. That's where we've been in a lot of ways. Boom. But it's not quite as simple as just bear and bull, because the bear markets and the bull markets get tired. There's transition, right? You can notice the transition between seasons sometimes in the weather, and you feel like, well, there's a little bit more summer going on, but still we have some days that are probably not full on summer. Because here in Texas, to tell you what, when we get full on summer, that's it. It's one speed. It's just plain blazing hot. Okay? We're not really into winter for a long time, and then suddenly one day it just feels like it's freezing cold. But there is a little bit of back and forth in between that. Well, the market is that way as well. It goes back and forth. Again, this is important for you and I, because if we want to have less anxiety, more clarity, take more opportunities in the market, it helps us to understand these. And I can come on here and I can talk about the different strategies that you and I use. But until we talk about why would I even need that? Then it's not so helpful to talk about those strategies, because it just sounds like more technical information for technical information's sake. And that's actually not true, right? We've got some people who are pretty keen and they want to hear about every strategy no matter what. But I want us all to understand, when it comes to the market, it can be advancing, it can be tired, it can be crashing, and it can be getting ready to rally. Those are our 4 seasons. We got a hot new bull market, we got an old tired bull market, we've got a bear market crash, and then we've got that accumulation, right? Where the bear market starts to find a bottom and it's precipitating an economic recovery. I'm not saying that we perfectly guess the top and bottom of the market all the time, but I am saying that there are seasons and ways to recognize when those seasons are present so that you and I can change the tool. So now that we have a little bit more of a foundation as to what are these seasons and why do they matter? See, wouldn't you and I want to have that information I just described? If you are interested in being a stock trader, this information can help you protect what you have. And again, what did I say? Protection and promotion. And promote the growth that you want to see in your trading account, right? This can help us do that. And that's the whole purpose here. If I had more opportunities versus less opportunities, wouldn't that stand to reason that if I use the system that we teach here at Tradeway, I could be more active throughout the year? Now, we don't want to just be active to be active, but if the season changes and you have the right tool for that, right, the potential for you and I, when we have more opportunities versus less, means that we could grow the account more, right? That's the potential that we have. So this is very important for you to be able to protect and promote your capital, right? You may not think of it like that, but that's what it is, right? So understanding these seasons is very important because, again, I said this already, I'll say this again. The stock market is going to keep changing seasons. It's not just going to be one thing. And the economy will go into a recession again. This isn't fear-mongering. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, right? I'm not making a prediction or guessing. But it's going to go into a recession again, right? It doesn't really take a skill set to say that. It always has, and it will again. I don't know exactly when or under what conditions, but I can tell you I know looking at the chart how to manage and interpret what's happening because of the skill set I have if we're headed towards recession, right? And I'm not overly dependent on someone else to tell me when that's happening or tell me what to do when it does happen. And that is what we want to help you be able to do. Now, you may think that you don't know enough or that you could never feel confident and know how to do that. But I would tell you that I see new people here in the Tradeway community all the time who didn't know anything, but they felt a conviction. I want to do better. I want to grow. I want to make a change in my life. And I want to know how to manage my money better. Whether you have somebody else doing it and you want to have a more powerful relationship with them, or you're going to do it yourself, trust me, we teach people to do this all the time. There will be another bear market crash. Again, this isn't fear-mongering, doomsday. It's just a reality. It's always happened in the market. It's going to happen again, right? This was unexpected, but it's always to some degree unexpected. I would certainly admit that when it comes to COVID, this was highly unusual, right? What happened in here, because literally from one day to the next, we pretty much just shut down the entire economy, which is why this was a particularly fast drop. Not necessarily the deepest drop that's ever happened in a bear market, but it certainly was the fastest. And we can see why. Whatever the conditions are, right? Whether it was 2000 or 2008 or 2020 or the volatility in between, even look at what's happened last week. We had a pretty decent drop here, you guys, pretty far. We made it down to the 300-day moving average, 4250, right? From 4,800. That was a pretty big drop. And like I said, in tech stocks, it was even worse. So was it a bear market? No, it wasn't a bear market, but it was pretty darn volatile, right? So understanding this can really be important to help you because we will see more volatility. We will see a recession eventually. We will see a bear market crash. For those of you who are actively trading right now, this is going to be important. For those of you who have somebody managing your money in the stock market, you're not really sure what they do, and you're not really sure what questions to ask them. This is going to be important, right? By the way, here's something I tell everybody who has someone managing their money for them. Or if you're going to have somebody manage your money, or if you are the one managing it. Same question, regardless of which three you would say fits you and your family. The question I would say is, what is your plan in a bear market? That is a question you want to ask anybody who's managing your money. It's Tradeway's opinion that if the answer is we're going to leave it in the market all the way down because you can't time the market and it doesn't make sense to take it out. For us, not a good enough answer. There are very reasonable ways. We don't need a crystal ball. We don't need to guess the tops and the bottoms of the market. There are very reasonable ways for us to show you how to protect your money and not leave things in the market all the way to the bottom like they often have done, right? I've certainly heard many stories, 2000, 2008, 2020 even. It's not a good plan. When a stock is crashing and you're holding it, it's not a great plan to just stay in it unless that's the only plan you have, right? If you understand market seasons, then that can help that conversation tremendously, okay? So you and I can know what to do to protect and promote our capital no matter what the season is, right? We're less anxious and we can assess those changes and apply the right tools. So we need to talk a bit about the tools, right? I've kind of hammered home what we're saying about market seasons. I'm actually going to go ahead and put this up full screen. There are 4 seasons, right? But what are these tools? You talk about options and how that gives us flexibility, but what is that really? Okay, and again, I said this earlier, if you haven't seen the options preview, stick with me tonight. But if you haven't seen that at all and you're not even quite sure what an option is, it's going to be very helpful for you to go back. This is 2 weeks ago now, I believe. Watch our episode on options preview. It had lots of questions and involvement from different folks out there. It was an exciting episode for me because people were so excited and they were certainly letting us know in the chat. So go back and watch that because it's really going to help you. But let me just put it in simple terms, right? We said 4 seasons, right? Okay, what do we use when the market goes up? Now, I talked about already, most of us, many of us, if we're just starting out, we're going to buy stock. Right? What happens when you buy a stock? You buy shares of the company. Let's say it's XYZ stock. I buy the shares at $10. If it goes to $15, I can sell those shares and make $5 a share. Why would I buy it at 10? Why would I buy it at 15? That's what we're going to teach you. How do I know when it's a good time to get in? That's what we're going to teach you, right? How do I know what's a good stock to buy and what's a bad stock to buy? We're going to teach you. How do I know if the market is saying it's a good time to buy stocks, Blair? Ooh, it's a bad time to buy stocks, Blair. We're going to teach you that. But you can use this tool in that season, right? When the market is advancing, I'm going to use the word aggressively. Buying stocks can be great because you stand to make money when the stock goes up. If the market is rising aggressively, then I want to get in on that momentum, right? I also talked about options last 2 weeks ago. Call options, right? I've always thought of a call option like you might call someone up. A call makes money when the stock goes up, right? And you can get a tremendous amount of leverage where you could buy a stock that, I'm going to back up on that. You can use a call option to trade a stock, right, at a fraction of the price. Right? You may not know what I mean. That's why you need to go back and watch the options preview. But I can use stocks. I could use call options. And I have the potential with a call option to make way more money than I would have with the stock. That's good for you and me. We may want to know how to do that. You mean I can use less money and potentially make more than I would if I bought the stock? Yes, that's options. That's why they're so cool. When the market is advancing aggressively, those are the things we can use. Those tools are great for that environment. Okay, now those aren't the only ones, but those are the main ones. And it's important to say this here because for most people, those are the only ones they have, right? Those are the only tools and skills they have. And that's why this conversation is so important because as soon as the market season changes, one of 2 things, they force those 2 tools into the wrong season and they give back what they made, or they stand on the sidelines. Now, the second is better than the first, right? Second is better than the first. You and I recognize, I can't use those tools. I'm not making money with them anymore. I need to stand on the sidelines. But is there some opportunity cost there, right? Very potentially so. So when the market is advancing, but it's getting choppier, it's getting slower, it's still a bull market. The buyers are still in control, but they're not as in control. This is actually more so what things have looked like. I'm going to refresh this. In the last little while. I actually don't like that. Let's go here to this view. Nah, I don't like that either. I want to go a little further out. We were for a while, quite a while, moving down to the 50-day moving average. Not very far. Even sometimes hitting the 20-day, the 5-day, the 10-day. Very aggressive, right? It wasn't coming down very far. We've started to move into the 100 pretty consistently. If this market was going to bounce down off of resistance, it was going to go into the 100-day, which is a deeper moving average. Now, even if you don't really have a grasp on moving averages, just track with me here. This red line is further down than this blue line. And instead of bouncing at the blue, it started going down and even a little bit below the red. It's a much deeper level, right? The sell-offs were bigger. Now, the buyers managed to step in and keep driving it up. And now we've gone down, and we actually even went down to the 300, right? 100, 200, 300. We're just getting deeper. The sellers, when they're taking control, they're taking even more control every time. Now, you may not have understood that dynamic, but for you and I, we're looking at the market and going, geez, it's really far down right now, right? Or it's moving down more aggressively. It used to be moving up like all the time, just a little bit of selling, and then bam, it would pop up again. That's not so the case right now. So does that maybe an indication for us that the market, even though it's still a bull market, is getting a little topsy-turvy, right? It's getting a little less predictable, reliable, repeatable. The sellers are doing a little bit more damage when they take control. So for you and I, we're starting to recognize, that's a season change, right? Things are starting to change here. So it's advancing, but it's growing slower. We've got something we call a debit spread, right? That's one of the tools that we might start using in this environment. Now, I know we don't know all of what a debit spread is tonight, but we teach in our program how to make money, right? That's the potential when the stock is moving up. But guess what? We don't need it to move up as much. We don't need it to move up many days in a row. We can do very well on a debit spread when the stock only moves 1, 2, or 3 days in our direction in many cases, right? It's individual to the specific trade setup, but this tool helps us take advantage of short, quick movements when the market isn't so convicted. It isn't so consistent in its move up. Where in that first year of the new bull market, you might see stocks go up so many days in a row. It's kind of hard sometimes to find an entry for stocks because they don't pull back to support. But with the debit spread, we get a little bit more flexibility. That's certainly one of the benefits. You can also set up debit spreads where you put in less money. Remember I said with options, we have the potential to put in less and actually make more. Again, that's the potential. So we can actually risk a little bit less when we're in these environments that have less conviction in the direction, right? So that's when the market is advancing, but it's getting slower. And we do this in a very specific way. There are different ways to do debit spreads. Here at Tradeway, we have a specific way of teaching you how we do it so that it is safe, right? Capital protection is a huge goal for us. We take risk in the stock market, but we don't take unnecessary risk, and we help you understand how to find the sweet spot when it comes to options and risk. What about when it goes down, right? That's another season, isn't it? You might call that winter. When the market is moving down, we have to change the skill set. If I'm buying calls or buying stocks and the market is falling, that's going to be a tough sled for us. The old saying, don't try to catch a falling knife. Let it hit the floor. And then once it hits the floor, reach down and pick it up. That's kind of what we want to do with stocks, right? If we're only buying stock, we want it to hit the floor, wait, make sure it's stable, and then we can take advantage and get involved. But if the market is falling, this is part of that opportunity cost. If we're standing on the sidelines, we could be doing, I talked about this a little bit 2 weeks ago, put options. See, put options make money when the market's moving down. Put options make money when the market's moving down. If you're in a put option connected to a stock that's moving down, then you stand to profit from that movement. Now, you may not totally understand how that works today. That's okay. Just introducing the tool to us tonight. If it moves down, you and I can be in the game. Now, think about this for a second. Wait a second, Blair. Let me just make sure I understand what you just said. You're saying that if we get into an environment where the market is consistently and even potentially aggressively moving down, I have a tool where I could be, right, taking advantage. I could potentially be making money when the stock is moving down. And I would say, yes, that's how a put option works, right? That's how a put option works. So the only difference between you and someone else is that they've learned what a put option is and how to use it. So that's what we want to teach you to do as well, right? Now we're not trying to force a square peg into a round hole and buy stocks when it's going down, or feeling disappointed, discouraged, or potentially even anxious when the market is moving down, because we've changed our skill set and our mindset to say, I can take advantage no matter what this market's doing. Now that's a game changer, right? How many out there would be blessed to know that? How many out there would be excited to have that information so that you could put it into action, right? That is what we do when we match the tool to the season. Okay, that's when it goes down. We're also going to teach you how do I protect my capital? We talked about that a little bit, right? So when it's going down, there's that potential to earn, but it's also to protect. Okay. Now, let's consider another angle here, because remember I said sometimes the seasons are kind of mixed, right? They're crossing over. It's not necessarily just spring or summer, right? It's not necessarily summer or winter, those two extremes. What about the in-between, right? What about the in-between? Well, the in-between might be a time where the market isn't really going up that much. It's not really going down that much. It's kind of flat, or perhaps we're looking at a specific stock, and that stock is not going up that much or down that much. It's more static, right? It's more static. Well, what if we could, as traders, make money when the market, or the stock in this case, is flat? What if I could show you, in fact, let me put it this way. What would you say? What would you say if I said, there's a way to make money in the stock market when the stock doesn't go up or down at all? In fact, we don't want it to go up and down at all, really. It can go up some, it can go down some, it can stay in the exact same spot, and you and I could make money, right? And in some cases, we could do well, right? That's the potential here. And we don't actually want the stock to move very much. See, our paradigm, what we've been taught, if we've been taught anything, is that we stand to profit when the stock moves up. So for some of us, it's pretty radical to think, well, I could make money when the stock moves down. But let's take it a step further and say, I could actually make some money when the stock doesn't move at all. I just need to know how to do that. And for me, when I started at Tradeway, the difference was there's a group of people who know what I don't know. It's not intrinsic or inherent to me that I'm not good with money or I can't possibly be a trader. They just know things that I don't know. And I want to know so I can do what they do. And that's where this came from for me. And jumping into, wait a second, the stock doesn't really have to move one direction or the other, and I could potentially make money on that. That sounds pretty radical, but pretty cool, because that's another tool for another season. And once again, if the season changes and there's not a lot of direction up or down, that's a tool I could put into practice. That's called a credit spread, right? That's called a credit spread. That's a tool that I could fit to that season. And again, we have a very specific way that we teach this so that you and I can move into consistency. We're not just looking for one-off trades where we made some money, but we can't repeat it, right? The potential here is we are going to take losses. If we are traders, it is normal. We are going to take losses, but we want to lose small, we want to win big, and we want to learn, how can I do credit spreads in a way that helps it be consistent over time and protects my money? That's what we teach you to do. It's more than just knowing the tool, but certainly that is the doorway to a whole new world of financial opportunity. Okay. How do I start to really learn all of this? Because tonight we're getting a nice preview, seasons and tools. You don't wear the same clothes in every season. right? You don't do that. Nobody does that. And the more extreme the weather, right, the more specific what you're going to wear in that weather is going to be. The market's the same way. If you and I want to be traders, maybe some of us want to be full-time traders. Maybe some of us have some pretty aggressive financial goals. You'd like to get out of the job you're in. You'd like to have more time freedom. Maybe you have some capital. You know that we're at 40-year inflation. So cash that's sitting right now is being devalued faster than it has in 40 years. And you'd like to put that money to work. You feel like that's a responsibility that you have as a steward of God who gave you that money, right? If you're drawn to this for any reason, you've got kids who are going into college, you want to get ahead with that. Whatever it might be for you, the stock market is an opportunity. The stock market is a huge opportunity where you do not have to guess, gamble, or go for it. We don't gamble in the stock market here at Tradeway. We use a skill set called trading, right? It's a whole lot more than just having a brokerage account. It's knowing how to navigate this. And I gave you multiple answers today as to the kinds of tools that we are going to teach you how to use in those environments, right? You don't have to learn all these tools, but they all have a spot that could be tremendously helpful for those who are trying to reach those financial goals. And in some ways, one of the questions we might ask folks is, well, how fast would you like to get there? Because again, if we have more ability to take advantage of more opportunity and not sit on the sidelines, that opens the doorway for us to have greater and potentially faster growth, right? There's no guarantees in the stock market, and that's why we want to teach you how to manage the risk well. And this is the power of different tools and understanding the seasons. I've said this 3 weeks in a row now. Ignorance in finance is not bliss. It's not bliss. What you don't know can limit you. And certainly I found that to be very true for myself. So we want to invite you guys. We've got a class coming up. Actually, this is a special class for me because I've been on here with you guys Market Monday for a long time. And I talk about our Step 1 course, but I've not actually been the one to teach the Step 1 course, okay? I've dropped a link here in the chat, both on Facebook and YouTube, and I am going to teach the Step 1 course, right? These are coming up on February 11th and 12th, all right? This is our Step 1 course. This is our foundational course. We're going to go into a lot of what makes our system unique, safe, and crucial for anybody who wants to stock trade. And I'm going to go through all of this. So you want to be there with me. If you've not learned any of this, you owe it to yourself at this point in time. You spent now 45 minutes with us tonight, potentially been on other recordings and other lives. Jump on in to the Step 1 Start Your Journey class. Meet with me, meet with this friend of mine, David, who's going to be on there as well. You guys have met David on Thursdays, David Verbruggen. If you've been on Stock Talk Thursdays, you've also met him. He's going to be there as well, joining me, teaching the Step 1 Start Your Journey. This is not the basics course. This is the foundational course. We never move on from this course, no matter what season, no matter what tool. You're going to learn from us the system on how to know what season is it, what tool should I be using, and that happens in the Step 1 Start Your Journey course. So I hope you guys will sign up for that. I hope you join me there. I know a lot of you are going to be watching this by recording. Go ahead. It's right there in the chat. Click on the link. Join the class. It's going to cost you less than $100 for 2 full days of stock trading education, okay? This is not a fluff class. We are going to dive into this, but we're going to do it in a way that helps people who are just starting out really understand. We're going to get your hands dirty. We're going to do some practice. We're going to do some paper trading before the end of the class. Everything that you need to get that initial foundation in place is going to be a part of Step 1 Start Your Journey. So join us for that. I hope to see you guys there. Thanks so much for being on tonight. We are back next week. Of course, you're going to see more programming from Tradeway Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on Facebook and YouTube. If you haven't yet, on YouTube, click the bell, subscribe. We're not going to bombard you with messages, but anytime somebody goes live, it's going to let you know so you don't miss anything. Facebook, click the like button right there, and it's going to notify you when we go live or when maybe you did miss something. So click that like if you haven't. Keep up with us. Plenty of great content coming for you guys. We're just starting out 2022, so there's a lot coming for you. I will see you on the flip side. Sign up for Step 1. Join me there, and you guys have yourselves a good night. Thanks so much.